Hey, what's going on? Jordan Taylor here from STARTA.ca, and welcome to another episode of STARTA, Stop Talking and Really Take Action. Today with me on the show, I'm joined by the phenomenal Narley Karikari, aka Narley K. Now, Narley Karikari is a 5-time board-certified life and mindset coach specializing in hypnotherapy and neuro-linguistic programming based here in Toronto, Canada. Now, Narley specializes in helping millennial women uncover and release the unconscious mindset blocks that create procrastination, self-doubt, and self-sabotage so that they can gain more clarity and confidence and step into their purpose in life and business without fear. Narley is also well known as an international model and personal development influencer who encourages her audience to live a life by design instead of default. Love that. To date, Narley has mentored women in Australia, Africa, Europe, and all over North America. From humble beginnings, Narley has overcome addiction, an unstable childhood, and what she calls chronic low self-esteem. Today, she dedicates her time to her missions to liberate women from the personal barriers within their mind. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Narley Karikari to this episode of STARTA. Hey everybody, what's going on? Jordan Taylor here from STARTA.ca, and welcome to another episode of STARTA, Stop Talking and Really Take Action. Today, I have a super special guest with me here today. She goes by the name Narley. Is it Narley K?
Narley K.
Narley K. So Narley K is here with me today. Thank you so much for making time to join the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
I've been really looking forward to
Me too.
chatting
I love
with
this.
you. Yeah, we've been Instagram friends for a little bit now, and just been conversing digitally, and now here we are in person, even despite the times that we're in right now.
Yeah.
It's just been crazy. But for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. That's the big question. What do you do?
So what do you do?
So my name is Narley Karikari. I am a professional mindset coach. I am a digital entrepreneur. I am all about helping female entrepreneurs, uncover and release limiting beliefs they have around their business, their confidence, their money. I'm all about transformation. I really want people to know how powerful they are and to get out of their own way and stop self-sabotaging. So I'm a life coach by trade, but I do specialize in mindset, limiting beliefs, and that kind of self-doubt issues.
Awesome. And the reason why I thought it would be really cool to have you on the show, because when we talk about mindset, right? And we were chatting just before we started filming that mindset is huge in general, for anybody, but in particular for entrepreneurs, because that's what this show is about, right? Entrepreneurs and how to, build and grow and develop. Do you get a lot of entrepreneurs as clients?
Yeah, typically business owners, women that want to either get into life coaching as well, people that are influencers, I get creatives, they all want to monetize their purpose and their passion. Yeah. Ultimately. Yeah. So leaders.
Gotcha. So a lot of female leaders just looking to, I guess, kind of elevate and then attack those limiting beliefs as well too, right? Because I think that's probably a thing that impacts people that they may not even realize. For sure.
And some of the clients that I work with, they're either looking for clarity. They have these big dreams and these big goals, but their mind isn't really aligned with it just yet. And they feel kind of overwhelmed by what they want to do and how far they feel from it. Right. So naturally, when you're looking at your goals and you don't feel like they're attainable, essentially, the self-doubt and the procrastination and all of those fears start to come up.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you got to be where you are, because I think sometimes people see she's a mindset coach and she's a leader developer, right? Yeah. And it's like, okay, how do we get from the very start of a journey to being somewhere like where you are?
For sure. So that question always gets me a little stumped because I'm like, it's such a wide journey, but essentially, I grew up in a very unstable childhood, right? Child home or whatever. My dad was in and out of jail until I was 16. So I saw a lot of dysfunction growing up, right? And I always became really fascinated with the haves and the have-nots. I was like, why do some people have this and some people don't have this, and just got curious around psychology and the way people are. And I noticed that I was really shy and introverted and was really in my head a lot, right? So naturally, I went to personal development to try to get more of a personality, to try to, be more outgoing. I found modeling, which was great. It helped me kind of expand my network and put myself out there and get over my visibility fears. But even with modeling, I found myself to still have a lot of toxic, negative ideas about who I was and low self-esteem. So I realized, okay, the looks don't really matter when it comes to your confidence. So check that off. So I was like, what is the real thing here? What's really missing, right? So after a series of sabotaging my own goals, starting blogs, starting little businesses, failing here, a series of failures, I was just kind of like, what is this?
What am I doing?
Like, am I just not meant to have what I want? Is this really it? You know, when you're kind of like, am I really this shitty person?
No, absolutely.
And you're looking yourself in the mirror and you're like, so I hit my rock bottom, and around the same time I was hitting my rock bottom, I was getting out of a 5-year relationship. So that took me on another, self-esteem blow as well. And I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to be in Toronto anymore. I don't want to deal with my current reality. It sucks. Like, I just want to drop this and become someone new. So I took a job on a cruise ship. My sister's best friend's cousin or whatever used to work on cruise ships. Someone. So she had a connection, long story short. She had like an email that I could get in front of the line, right? Because going on a cruise ship, there's a huge line to like work on it.
I've heard,
But I got all the way to the top of the line. They hired me and I'm like, okay, I'm out. So,
that's amazing.
Anyways, my travel journey made me realize it was also my self-love journey. And that's a lot of reason why I do what I do, because I didn't have the self-love. I didn't even know I really needed self-love to accomplish my goals, to really see myself as the person to accomplish my goals. So on this travel journey, on this cruise ship, I was gone for 2 years, and I really just had a lot of come to Jesus moments, as I call it, lots of aha moments, a lot of deep searching, soul searching, a lot of seeing that, oh crap, it's me. Like I'm the problem and the solution, and then I was like, okay, let's invest in my healing. Let's invest in my renewal of self. So I started to seek out mentors and healers, going spiritual, going mental, going psychology, going all the routes. All the routes. And essentially I found my bearing. I found that it's all in here. It's a self-image thing half of the time, to be honest. A lot of the reasons why people aren't getting where they want to go, it's because they don't see themselves in the right way that aligns.
Right.
So I redid my self-image, through mindset work, through healing, through forgiveness work, through all the deep shit that, sorry, I don't know if I can swear, but.
No, that's okay.
All the deep stuff. And so it's been 3 years of this business. I absolutely love it. It's challenging because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm, making my way, but it's beautiful because now I'm at that place where I'm doing it full time. I get to inspire which is the dream, I'm sustainable. I lost my corporate job to COVID as well. So I realized, what, either way,
it's crazy how many people have been in that exact situation.
It was a do or die. Like my first year of my business was kind of because of the 9 to 5.
Right.
And then once I lost it, it was like, okay, well, here we go. And I had them all in. And, so I got here by trial and error. I got here by a lot of crying. I got here by a lot of
blood, sweat, and tears.
Oh my goodness, yeah. But I had mentors. I had mentors that showed me the ropes and showed me my blind spots, and that's why I'm such a big advocate for not doing life by yourself. Like there's no need to. So I really want people to invest in people that they aspire to be like, or people that they can see themselves in. A lot of my clients hire me because I'm a Black woman, so I really do my part to show up in that leadership mode. But I think mentorship and coaching and all of that, it really helps you collapse time and get to where you want to be faster.
Yeah, because it's and I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of you watching or listening are probably kind of in this state of, okay, I have my idea of where I want to be, no idea how to get there. And a lot of times we're doing it by ourselves. And like you said, trial and error, but a lot of guessing and then the imposter syndrome kicks in heavily. Right? And I feel like it's something that is one of the biggest things that plagues entrepreneurs. Right? And it sounds like you went through that as well too, right?
For sure.
Like
who am I to do this?
Exactly.
Who am I to do this? What are people going to think of me? all of that. And, you know, I've come to look at imposter syndrome differently now that I'm out of that, you know, but when you're in imposter syndrome, it's really about surrendering to that desire, right? You know that there's something more for you, and you understand that it's not going to be a straight linear line to get there, but understanding that you can grow into the skill, you can grow into the shoes that you want to fill, right? And letting it be, at least I started mentality. At least I'm getting there, you know? Because some people never start because they let imposter syndrome hold them back. And imposter syndrome is essentially this feeling of, I'm not good enough for my dreams, right? Or my dreams are so out of reach. And that's a horrible place to be. So if you're there, like, just trust the process and let it be messy. I tell my clients all the time, like 70% consistency over 100% sporadically. Like just keep going, you know? Because once you stop, then you accepted failure. And that's when you,
And then you think about even, I'm not a science person per se, but I think it's inertia, right? Where something in motion tends to stay in motion, and then something at rest tends to stay at rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like you need to keep going in order to not stop, which seems like it'd be pretty straightforward, but you know, there's that fine balance of, you know, not experiencing burnout, right? From trying to do all the things, especially too, because as an entrepreneur, you're not just doing the thing, right? Whatever the business is, you have to also run the business too.
Exactly.
Right? And and depending on what it is that you do, right? You may want to just work in the business, right? So for like a business like yours, right? Your expertise is doing the stuff that's in the business.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Other people, they may want to work on the business so that it can scale and grow. But the people who work in it, it's working on the stuff that, you know, serves the business side of things.
For sure.
That's where the balance.
I think it's really great to play to your strengths and know your zone of genius, right? Like my zone of genius is the coaching. I've had to learn sales. That was my, you know, how am I actually going to monetize my passion? That was the learning curve. So when you know what the learning curve is going to be, you can just look at it, say, you know, it is what it is, but nothing is set in stone. And that's my favorite saying of all time, because it's like everything can change, you know,
impermanence.
Exactly. Right. So don't get so trapped in, oh, I'm like this, or I don't know this. You know,
I didn't have this growing up.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
and I feel like even like with what you were saying with like the kind of childhood that you have, right? And maybe you've experienced this where like that's where a lot of the beliefs start. Based on your upbringing, because that is for a lot of people the core foundation of who you are.
Absolutely.
And that impacts what kind of entrepreneur you're going to be, because you're thinking, well, you know, growing up, I didn't learn about money, so I'm going to be irresponsible with money. So why should I even make a bunch? I'll just make
fear of losing it.
Right.
All of these things.
Or who am I to, you know, make 6 figures, 7 figures in a year? You know, my family before that never did that.
Exactly.
And who am I to think that I'm better than them? Right?
Spot on.
So
the money thing with entrepreneurship is a big money mindset. It's a big money mindset. Like every client I work with, we always go through money mindset, and you have to change your relationship to money and understand that there's a world view of money as well, that money is hard to come by, the rich get rich, the poor get poor, all of these nasty limiting beliefs. We're programmed to believe that money is filthy, you know, we hate the rich, all of these things that we demonize money. I'm so passionate about it because
I remember you did an Instagram live, and I'll be sure to link your Instagram. Maybe I'll have it pop up on the screen here, but I watched one of your Instagram lives, and it was the money mindset one. There's a lot to unpack there. So much, and especially,
and a lot of people started trip, but a lot of people are like, it's not about the money to me.
It kind of needs to be though.
Then why are you an entrepreneur?
Right, and like
it's not all money, but like.
Like most people, like they get into entrepreneurship to free themselves of the confinements of, you know, the safe 9-to-5 route. And we've all done it, right? You were in 9-to-5 at one point in time. We were talking before, right? I did my last episode. I was making that transition. I'm now just on the other side of it, right? But it's like, especially when you're starting out, you kind of need the money to be there, because otherwise you're going to be stressing out.
for sure.
And then you can't focus on the work.
Exactly.
Right? Because imagine how are you going to give somebody proper mindset coaching
Exactly.
if you're constantly worried about, okay, I need to make enough sales, I need to make this money.
For sure.
Right? So I can imagine that.
Make your side hustle the thing, like make it a side hustle and then make it into the full-time thing. But, you know, you want to understand that money is a part of it. Money, you know, you can't be broke enough to inspire people or help people. So you really can't, right?
Yeah.
So
people are afraid of it.
People are afraid to be successful. You know, there's this fear of success because even conditioning, right? The fall from grace, you know, he was amazing and now he's, you know, that thing, and the shame around being successful. And these are the things that I deal with my clients, right? How to remove it and change your relationship of it. Because all perspective, nothing means anything except the meaning you give it. Everything is neutral, right? So it's fear of success, who cares, right? But it's your mind saying, oh, once I'm successful, my friends are going to think I'm this and I'm going to, well, abracadabra then, if that's what you want. Whatever you believe to be true for yourself will be true, right? So this is where we have to challenge our beliefs, everything. I had to challenge my whole identity, what it means to be me, you know? And I do believe people do want you to win. That's the number one thing. You have to start to believe that people want to see you shine and succeed. Even if they don't say it out loud, people are watching, and let it be an encouragement thing, right? Because a lot of people are fear haters, evil eye, all of these things, you know. It's important to just have the standpoint that my success is for everyone. You know, we love to see Oprah be successful because it inspires us. It gives us a, you know, that kind of
something
thing.
to shoot for.
Exactly.
Or strive for,
Exactly. So it's a lot of mindset work when it comes to entrepreneurship.
I can only imagine. So like, what would be one thing that, let's say somebody watching right now, what's something that they can do immediately to put them on a better path towards this thing, apart from obviously reaching out to you, but like what's something just super simple that anybody can do?
You want to take out a piece of paper, split it in half. On the left side, what's working, right side, what's not working. Just gain clarity on what's working in your life and what's not working, okay? What's working, you want to double down on what's working because it's working, right? You're showing up, there's certain habits that not everything is bad in life, right? You have certain habits that work. The things that aren't working, you want to ask yourself, you know, how can I take responsibility for this? Or how can I improve it quickly, right? Essentially, you want to look at the things that aren't working and address them because they're energy drains as well, right? When you don't address the things that aren't really helping you, right? Another thing you want to do with your life, if you keep seeing certain patterns, mismanagement of money, lack of energy, lack of motivation, you want to ask yourself, what belief is creating this reality? What belief must I hold within myself that is creating this reality, right? So someone that is struggling with money, they have certain beliefs within them that is creating this perpetual pattern. So you just want to, you know, look at it subjectively, take a distance from your life, act like you're your own client, and be like, what belief must she think or he think if she keeps repeating this negativity, right? So just getting... that's why mindset work is probably avoided by a lot of people because it's uncomfortable, but if you don't confront it, you can't conquer it. So
that's true.
I
one of my friends, she says all the time, I'm going to butcher it again, but what isn't measured can't be managed or something to that effect. Right. So, and I guess it's similar. So it's a matter of, like you said, doubling down on the stuff that's working because it's working. So just do more of that. While addressing the things that aren't. And I think I like what you said. How do I take responsibility for some of these things? Because I think, you know, there's a lot of things that we might think that are not working that we might think, well, I can't do anything about that. Right. You know, what's not working? I'm broke. That's not working for me. I can't just magically make myself rich, you know? So, but I like that it's that taking responsibility. What is in my control that I can do to address these things that aren't working?
And the word responsibility is, how am I responding to the things in my life, right? Responsibility. How do I respond to the lack of money or the lack of motivation? If you're not responding to it in the right way, well, you're irresponsible, right? You're going to be responsible for your life is going to reflect what you've been responsible for, right? And that's the difference between winning and losing. Are you going to be responsible or at cause for the win, or are you going to be indifferent, right? That indifference, that helpless, maybe it's not going to work.
So.
I'm a bit of a tough love coach too, because
No,
I think a lot of people are like, people come to me, everyone's in a certain state of mind, right? The New York state of mind, everyone's in a certain state of mind. And sometimes you can be like knocked out of that downward,
Yeah,
you gotta look
up.
Yeah, you gotta look up sometimes and be like, oh yeah, life, like it can change,
And then also like my biggest thing lately has been like accepting, owning, and embracing the fact that I'm the captain of the ship. You know what I mean? Yeah. Nobody else is running my life. Nobody else is in the driver's seat. And if they are, then I've put them there. You know what I mean? Everything falls back on me, and not necessarily in like a negative way, like, oh, I've, driven my life into the ground, but meaning that like I can enact change at any point in time if I so choose to do so. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the big journey, being the captain, right? Yeah. And just embracing it and knowing that you might sail a little to the left and then, oh, shit.
And then you gotta swerve back.
Yeah. But it helps when you have people that believe in you, people that can guide you, people that hold the vision for you. Right?
Exactly.
That hold you to the higher standard.
And hold you accountable.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So what different steps do you go through when you meet a client for the first time and they're like, okay, cool. Say somebody's watching this and they love what you're saying. They love, they're picking up what you're putting down. And so what does that journey look like for if you have like a brand new client, they're an entrepreneur, they're looking to just elevate their way of looking at things.
For sure. So based on what I do, whenever I meet someone who wants to be a potential client or someone that's struggling with a certain area of their life, I want them to describe it to me, because your words are the drippings of your mind. So as you speak, I can understand where you're living psychologically. So I'm just kind of integrating or analyzing how they talk about the problem. Right. I feel so overwhelmed. I feel like I'm stuck. These certain words tell me how they're relating to the issue, right? And how they feel about themselves in relationship to the issue. So it's kind of dissecting their language around the thing and then looking at where they want to be. I also want to make sure that whoever I'm working with is 100% ready to let go of this situation,
there's
right?
A timing element of it.
Yeah,
if they're
for
ready
sure.
or not.
A lot of people aren't ready to step into their potential, right? Because of the fears, but that's sometimes they understand that it's a kind of a do or die situation.
Gotcha.
So essentially I'm looking at their limiting beliefs of, what do they fear if they were to be that person? What are the apprehension or the resistance, right? Because that's what it really is. I want this, but I've never been successful. My parents won't support me. My boyfriend this. My friends are that's the resistance. Right. So anything that follows but is your block, right? I want to be successful, but I don't know how. But I'm not good at social media. But I'm too old. But I don't feel ready. Those are the things. So I'm looking at their resistance and finding out ways of, putting in goals that will challenge their resistance. Because once you hit a goal that doesn't I guess what I'm saying is once you achieve something, that block can't stand anymore because you just told it, it doesn't work that way, right? So the block is like, okay, well, it doesn't work, right? So people that are afraid to go live on Instagram, visibility fears, right? So once you go live and you do it for 20 minutes and you're not dying, your block's like, oh yeah, okay, the block is gone, right? So we have to set up challenges to release those blocks. But then I'm also using tools like hypnotherapy and NLP to also rewire their subconscious thinking. So your subconscious thinking is essentially that it just wants to keep you safe, your ego self, things that want to stay in homeostasis. Because as human beings, we only want to keep to the script. We don't want to change anything, right?
Stay in the status quo.
Keep in the status quo, right? So that's a lot of subconscious drama going on.
Yeah.
Right? So your subconscious is running 95% of your waking life. Wow. It's blinking your eyes. It's doing the circulation, the digestion, all of that. But it's also keeping you safe, and that's its primary function. So when you want to become a six-figure earner, to your subconscious mind, that's not a part of the program. So it's going to start throwing all of those resistance and all the butts up forward so you don't go for it, right?
Yeah.
So we're working with our desires, and we're also working with our programming. So that's where I come in. I'm looking at it consciously of, I feel this way, but subconsciously you have a fear of failure. You have a fear of judgment. You have a fear of this and that, right?
So you're the reprogrammer.
Yes, I'm reprogramming, but I'm also challenging you to, because once you actually face and confront the fear, then it can't stand anymore.
That's
right?
true.
If you have a fear around making money, once you actually make that sale, well then,
now what?
now what? What's
exactly.
your,
It's almost like, what's your excuse?
What's your excuse now?
Or there is no more excuse.
There's no more excuse.
You can achieve freely.
Yeah. And then that's when your self-image starts to change, right? You have a certain self-image to do something like this. Not a lot of people do, right? You have to understand that it takes a certain mindset to put yourself out there.
That's true.
Right? So your self-image has to match your desire. Otherwise,
it's not
gonna match, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I could go on and on, but it's
amazing.
Fascinating. And it's so, like, that's why I love what I do, because just seeing the growth in people, you're like, you can do it all this time. You're just in your mind about it.
Yeah,
People love to grow. They forget how much they love to excel.
Excel. Hey, it could be a new word. It could be a new word.
Excel.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Another thing is, I'm dyslexic, and I had a lot of anxiety around public speaking, because growing up, I was one of those kids where it's like, is she done reading yet?
Oh, no.
I was really scared about public speaking. So that's where the modeling was easy, because I didn't have to voice my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Just take the picture. So when I wanted to get in life coaching, I'm like, oh crap, I know that I'm going to have to talk to people and express myself. So I went on this whole, it was months of I don't want to,
just that knot in your chest.
Oh my God, my stomach is going all crazy just thinking of turning on my camera. So I understand the resistance. I really, really do. Because your old self is you're dyslexic, you can't do this. Remember when you were laughed at in kindergarten, all of these things. Right, so we do have.
What a transformation!
Yeah.
Too.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, for sure. I'm my best client.
That's amazing.
It's one of those.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this episode so far and are finding it valuable. If you're curious on how to create content like this, or any kind of video content, either for yourself or as a service to others, I want to give you access to my video editing course, Editing Enhanced. This course is designed to help you get better at editing video content and to take your video editing skills to the next level. Whether you're a complete beginner and just need to understand the basics, or you're pretty confident with editing and want to take things up a notch, this course will have lots for you to take advantage of. Now, there may or may not be a discount code in the description and show notes for this episode, so be sure to have a look out for that and head on over to starta.ca/editing enhanced to get access to the course. Now let's get back to the rest of this episode. So when you talk about reprogramming, right? The first thing that pops into my mind is, to your clients, you're kind of like Morpheus in the Matrix, right? Because you're almost you're jacking into where they're at, right?
Yeah.
With seeing okay, how do they speak about, let's say, entrepreneurship, right? How do they speak about their mindset with everything? Oh, I would love to do this, but right? And then you kind of look at the whole thing, you jack in, you scope everything out, and then you work with them to reprogram. Because even when and I'm gonna go a little geeky here for a minute, but even when Neo first started and he does that jump off the building and he falls flat on his face. But then towards the end of the movie, he can literally fly around, right? Because he's realized that he's gotten rid of
watching The Matrix recently, so this is tripping.
This is amazing. So and then there's this great quote from the movie, "There is no spoon."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where the little kid is holding the spoon. Have you seen it?
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
The mind is bending. Yeah.
Yeah, right? It's the mind is bending. It's not the spoon. Yeah. So I feel like it's relatable in that sense. It sounds a little weird to say, but it's relatable in that.
Put on the black coat.
Yeah, exactly. With the glasses that have no arms and just clip to the. I always thought that was the coolest thing ever. But I think, you're basically. Like we were talking about before, you're reprogramming the subconscious mind of your clients, obviously with permission. You're not controlling their mind and doing weird stuff.
It's not about control. It's about releasing. It's about changing your perception. They're on one side of the road looking at this big fear. Now I'm no, look at it from this side of the road. It's just a shift in perspective, right? Because everything is a relationship. We have a relationship with social media. We have a relationship with our parents and food and money, right? So our relationship to our fears have to shift.
Yeah.
Right. In order for us to feel safe to do it. Safety is a big thing when it comes to entrepreneurship. Do I feel safe to put my products out there, to put myself out there, to grow my business? Is someone gonna come and say you're a fraud, or bring up my past? There's a lot of safety issues when it comes to feeling confident, right?
Yeah.
People don't want you to shine too much. I was raised, really Christian, and you don't want people to be too cocky and all of these things, humble themselves. But then being humble and being successful, you can be humble, but you also have to show that you're successful.
And there's finding that
people
balance.
People don't hire
right?
me because I'm like not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like people are afraid to, like, even when you say something like, okay, I'll give an example. So me doing that or making that transition from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship, I wanted to have some money so that I'm not worried about the money when I start. Right. And due to the times that we're in, there are a lot of grants and loans coming around. Right. And then just like this week recently, I've been able to get like 6 figures worth of like money that I don't have to worry about the money for, the next little bit as I'm figuring out my system. Right. But even saying that, like, oh, I've secured 6 figures worth of funding. Right. I feel like
teach me.
it's also, but it's scary to say, because then you're like, okay, am I going to come across braggadocious? Am I going to come across this way? I don't want to intimidate somebody or sound like I'm bragging. But also I'm saying, like, if I can do this, anybody can do it.
This is where we need to understand that we're all in this together. So if we can see Jordan doing this and achieving this, then it challenges us, and it might trigger some people, but that's not your problem, not your circus, not your monkeys, right? It's one of those things where it's like, no, this is something you can do as well. So I want people to forgive themselves for caring so much, But at the end of the day, it's like, if someone were to ask you, how can I do this? As long as you're not like, I'm not telling you. As long as if you're open-minded and open-hearted, then it's your intention that matters the most. Every single time. Your intention, your desire. We're all good people. Like bragging is more of like, look at these 6 figures and you're holding the bag and you're then you're just like,
exactly.
But if you're like, hey guys, like, I know what it's like to feel uncertain in starting entrepreneurship, but this is what I've done, and there's a path as well. You can take this path, That's what I'm about. I used to feel really insecure, but look, I got some mentors and now I'm over here. Like, I know what it's like to be afraid to invest in yourself, but the ROI is amazing. You get the life that you want.
Exactly. And I think it's funny, because even this morning I was thinking in my head as I was getting ready to set everything up for today, and I'm like, oh, it'd be great to do like some reels of just showing people. I'm like, okay, how did I get this startup money? You know what I mean? Because I want more people to be able to do this so that more people can free themselves of the, just being stuck in the rat race, as it were, right? And I think it's like, it's a weird thing to, I guess, kind of battle, right? Of that whole, like, I want to help, but somebody might take it this way, or even anybody who wants to be an influencer too, right? They're like, oh, I want to put this out, but I need to make sure I have the perfect camera, the perfect audio set up, which is funny because we were talking about audio when we got here, right? I want to do this, but we should be okay. I'm like, I want to do this episode in this space, but I want to have the perfect podcast microphone, and then that didn't work out, but yet we're still here.
You're still here,
right? And I think of even people who are like, oh, I need to have the perfect camera setup, perfect audio. A lot of my clients are like female YouTubers, right? And they'd be like, oh, I got to make sure I have the perfect wig. I got to make sure my makeup's perfect. And right? I mean, valid concerns. But I think there has to be a fine line of like,
done is better than perfect.
You exactly. And I love that line.
Yeah, done is better. Yeah, for sure. I used to get caught up in that a lot, especially coming from modeling, and everything's so aesthetically pleasing, you know, and curated and manicured. So I have to do my own mindset work around just showing up and serving, right? Because if you want to be an influencer, if you want to be a leader, you have to serve, right? You have to kind of give your intention to the people because you show up for them. As influencers, as creatives, it's important to have your own style. Sure, I do respect that because we're artists, right? We want to, I really respect that. But it's also, if you delay yourself, then your art doesn't get to grow, right? So
Exactly.
you have to kind of look at, what I do is I separate myself from my business or from my artwork or my creations, right? I create them, but they stand on their own, and I don't have to judge myself on what I'm creating. It's just produce it, right? Because that one caption is 1 in a million. That one reel is 1 in a million that you're going to create. So why get so like about that one little 5-minute thing you're going to do?
Yeah. So like it's good to focus on the micro, but also you have to look at it from the macro.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're going to make so much content or so many products, or you're going to serve so many clients, right? And you just do your best, but the important thing is to get it done.
Get it done.
Right?
Yeah.
And also too, another thing I always think about is, in order for me to get to the place where I'm doing something quote unquote perfectly, I'm not going to do it on my first try.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, let me fail.
Yeah.
So then I can get to the perfect result, quote unquote perfect result, faster.
Yeah.
Right? So let me get there as soon as I can. And the only way for me to do that is to probably fail a few times or fumble at least. Right? I mean, the goal isn't to purposely fail, but even when we look at entrepreneurs who have they have their big, crazy, giant corporation, they probably had a few failed startups first, right? And then you have to start all over again. But I really like the whole done is better than perfect.
Yeah, done is better than perfect. Even 70% is success. 70% is, perfect, because your 100% is going to be here and there. But you can always give that 50 or 70%, And even for me, when it came to public speaking, I knew that the more that I collabed with people, the more that I interviewed people, I'd also hear myself and understand how I introduced myself, right? It's like, okay, that's how I introduce myself. Oh, maybe next time I'll say this. Yeah. It's all just practice. Every day is just practice. That's my mindset. Every day is leading up to this TED Talk or whatever talk. It's just practice. So just keep the momentum. That's the thing that people fail to keep up. Momentum. They post once and they're like, it's like, no, have the next 3 lined up, because your mind's going to start to seek that validation. So just keep the momentum, because when you have momentum, your mind's like, okay, this is the new normal. That's all you really want to strive for with your mindset and your goals. That new normal, this is what I'm doing. This is my lifestyle now, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing too, right? Because just like with certain health habits, right? You have to do something repeatedly in order for it to feel, like you said, normal, natural, second nature, right? Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. I'm curious though, because I think even when we first started messaging each other on Instagram, one thing that really intrigued me was the hypnotherapy side of things. So for me, as someone who knows very little to nothing about that,
for sure.
And I don't know if anyone else listening or watching wonders this, but it's one of those, I think there are some people who maybe find the idea of hypnotherapy a little intimidating.
Taboo.
Yeah, or I guess, taboo too, right? Depending on what kind of background you come from. But so what would you say, would be like a myth about hypnotherapy that is not true, and what it actually is?
For sure. Let's demystify it, debunk it, and I'm happy to do it. So hypnosis, the word hypnos means sleep. And we know that we spend 1/3 of our waking lives sleeping. Yep. We know that we recover and rejuvenate our bodies when we're sleeping. We grow when we're sleeping. Yeah. So sleep is an actual time for the human mind and body to regenerate and renew itself. So sleep is a really good thing. Hypnotherapy just means sleep therapy. That's all it means, right?
Which sounds less scary.
It sounds a lot less scary. I could sleep and be healed? Oh, amazing, right? So one thing to understand is we are always in different brain waves, right? So the acronym is BAT-D, beta, alpha, theta, delta. Okay?
Oh, I've heard of these.
Yeah. Okay. So right now, theta waves or theta whatever. Yeah. Right? So right now we're in beta. We're fully alert. We can drive a car.
So
amazing.
That's beta.
Beta, right?
Okay.
So alpha is between awake and asleep. You're kind of drowsy. You're kind of feeling that afternoon sleepiness, right? And then theta is when you are sleeping. That's when your mind and your body are completely relaxed. And then delta is when you're in a coma. Okay. So delta is like you're out. Okay.
I thought that was delta's deep sleep, but you're that's
delta
you're
you're out of it. You're out of it, right?
Gotcha.
So with hypnotherapy, what we're doing is we're going to the alpha state, right? You're not quite asleep. You're not quite asleep, but you're still kind of awake, except your body and your mind are relaxed, right? So what hypnotherapy is, it's a relaxation technique, a sleep technique, to help you relax your mind and reprogram your subconscious mind, which means out of awareness,
Okay.
So what you're doing essentially is you're removing unwanted programming, unwanted habits, unwanted thoughts, unwanted beliefs, the negative ones, and then replacing them purposefully with the positive thoughts, right? So when you're in beta state, when you're like awake, and you're looking in the mirror and you're saying your affirmations, I am wealthy, I am rich, your subconscious mind's gonna be like, no, you're not, because there's that ego in there that's blocking all the positive things, right? So when you're in alpha, when you're doing hypnosis or hypnotherapy, the ego is sleeping, so you can tell your mind exactly what you want to say. You are healthy, you are rich, you are confident. So it goes in faster without interruption or without that defensive, I don't believe it, right? So your guard is down, which is what you want. This is how you reprogram yourself, because if you're trying to reprogram yourself while you're awake, your ego's going to be like, no, you failed grade 9 math. What do you mean you're not smart? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that ego is sometimes not your amigo, right? Because it tells you.
I like that.
Like,
that should be on a t-shirt.
Yeah. So hypnotherapy is not, it's not brainwashing. It's not evil. It's not mind control. No, you're an absolute, like you're not quite asleep yet. So if someone walking through the door, you hear them because you're not like completely out. But it's just a technique of relaxing. So meditation and hypnotherapy are cousins, okay? They're like the exact same thing. You're breathing deeply to relax your mind and your body, and then when you're meditating, you can be guided, or you can just hear your thoughts clearer. But the whole thing with both of those techniques is you are getting the ego to step aside so you can actually hear yourself without the commotion of your past chirping away, right? So the Mayo Clinic, Harvard, Yale, tons of really rich people use hypnotherapy.
Top people.
Yeah. And it's used for healing. It's used for Hypno Birthing is really popular right now. Women going into a little bit of a relaxed state to give birth, so the pain isn't as intense. Yeah, Hypno Birthing is a thing.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
That's
really?
amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's quite big and popular. I used hypnotherapy to quit smoking 5 years ago, and that was my introduction. Thank you. So, I took the easy way out, but I saved a lot of money.
Hey, you got out.
I got out.
That's the important bit. You got out.
Yeah. So I was like, what else can this do for my confidence and my insecurities and my money habits and my sense of self? And it's been amazing because it's like tattooing your affirmations in your mind, because it becomes a part of your actual identity.
Your
right?
subconscious. So then when you're doing those affirmations
They
in the
feel
mirror,
more true.
it feels,
Exactly.
That's amazing.
So hypnotherapy essentially is just a tool to relax your mind and to get clear. You go into it knowing what the issue is. Oh, I have some beliefs around not being good enough. So I'm going to go in there with the hypnotherapist, and she's going to allow me to understand it, release it, and then put some more positive suggestions in there, right? Because from 0 to 7, we are walking subconscious minds. So we are being imprinted by our parents, society, about who we are, the way things just are, right? We're being imprinted. This is why, like, little kids can learn so many languages, because they're just wide open, right? They're so impressionable, right? And then after age 7 or 9, you kind of develop your personality and you think, this is who I am, this is how things work, because I'm from this kind of family, this is what things are. But nothing is set in stone. That's just your programming, your hardwiring, right? So with hypnotherapy, it relaxes the ego, and then you go into there and you make it more favorable to you. The hypnotherapist is never doing anything you don't want her to do.
Right.
My clients want to be more confident, so we're putting that into the, it sounds weird putting it in, but we're
but that's what you're doing.
Right? Yeah. So I'm never being like, oh no, you're going to be more bold and more, no, it's whatever you want. I don't care. Like it's your life and your mind, right? So the hypnotherapist is just helping you release that thought, or that, it's like the lenses. We all have certain lenses that we look at life through. Some people are wearing all of these lenses that are really negative. So hypnotherapy is removing those lenses and putting on a better lens, if you want to look at it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And it's non-invasive. It's not scary. It's not frightening. You're actually in a state of hypnosis or in a state of like trance all through the day. Have you ever driven somewhere and you just kind of got there and you're like, how did I even get here?
Yes,
right?
all the time.
Perfect. And it's
like autopilot.
It's autopilot. Exactly.
There you go. Okay.
Exactly. So you're looking at your autopilot.
I'm very comfortable with autopilot.
Yeah. But then if you're autopiloting through life, then things become just unconscious, and you're just,
and that's how
this keeps happening, but I don't know why. No, it's because you're on autopilot and it just keeps happening. So we interrupt that autopilot and put what we actually want. So that becomes on autopilot. Your success becomes on autopilad, right?
And it's interesting because I feel like that ties into a lot of what I'm always pushing on the show is automating things, right? So things that you can automate. So it sounds like this is a way to kind of like automate self-serving beliefs.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
And automating automating those affirmations so that they're
become a part of you.
Yeah, and they're constantly working
Exactly.
within your subconscious mind throughout the day.
Yeah.
Which, when we talk about the law of attraction, which is a
Exactly.
whole other
That's a whole nother, if I can get into that.
a whole other conversation. And it's funny because I actually have a podcast,
Oh, really?
a totally separate podcast
I'm
about
on that.
the law of attraction.
Don't get me started.
So, right? And then, but then when your subconscious mind is doing those automatic self-serving beliefs, right? And those affirmations going automatically throughout the day, then you're just going to attract more of what aligns with that.
You attract who you are, your identity, right? So the one thing that I want people to remember, it's kind of a weird saying, but your subconscious mind will never make you a liar. If you believe or have a belief that you're not good enough in your mind, then your life is going to match that belief. Life, you know what I mean? Your belief isn't going to match what you want it to be. It's going to be the opposite. So whatever you hold to be true will be your truth. So you want to challenge your beliefs. Does this really serve me? Do I really want to feel not good enough? Do I really want to feel like money is hard to come by? Of course not.
Right.
So you want to really get to the root of it. And you can do affirmations. That's another way. That's repetition is the way to reprogram your mind consciously. So it takes longer. Hypnosis collapses time. You just go straight to the motherboard. You go straight to the motherboard and say, this is what I want.
Right to the source.
Yeah.
Another Matrix reference. It's just, I'm like mind boggled at how well that fits.
And I'm happy that you brought up the law of attraction because that's, you know, I use a lot of those principles with my mindset work and just not attracting, but creating the life that I want to create, right? And it starts within here and seeing yourself as the person that can manifest or have what you want. All of this, being interviewed, doing podcasts, doing all of these things were just a dream or a concept that I wanted to see myself do, and I held on to it. Yeah. Right. So when I'm doing it, I'm like, oh yeah, I thought about this. You know? It's so crazy. I planted that seed. You know.
I'm constantly talking to my friends about this, and I feel like we can go on and on. But about like the life that I live right now, and like even entrepreneurship. You know, just even simple things like having an apartment, having a car. Being able to work from home, living in Toronto, like these were all things that I imagined as a kid. No idea how I was going to get there. And they all started happening very, very, very quickly back to back when I just kind of like shifted, I guess, my mindset into like, I'm going to have these things. I don't know how they're going to come to me. And I'm going to keep working towards it somehow, right? But not really worrying so much about the how until it's like there. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This apartment just opened up. This is what I need to do in order to get, okay, cool. Let me get my paperwork in order.
But one thing I want to say that I love that you just said is like you had that determination. And one of my favorite words is the word decide, right? Decide is just a powerful word for me because when you decide something, the Latin root of that is to cut off, right? You cut off all other options. I'm going to have that house. I'm going to have this career. Right? A lot of people haven't decided that they're going to be successful. They haven't decided that those limitations.
They like the idea of it.
Yeah.
They haven't made a decision.
You can't serve two masters. So you have to decide, this is plan A and I'm sticking to it. The how will unfold. But when you make that decision, everything will start to shift for that success. Right? So your decisions, life is choice. Everything's a choice. So make that decision to go for it. Right? And it's going to be uncomfortable. It's a stretch. Like even everything that I do, I'm stretching myself. I'm taking on more clients. I'm still stretching myself. But I decided that I want this certain lifestyle. Right? Another thing for mindset is decide the lifestyle you want and make sure your business suits that lifestyle.
That's true.
Right? So
almost kind of reverse engineer.
Yeah, reverse engineer the life that you want. Or your ideal day, because your ideal day leads to your ideal life. So
it all flows into itself. That's amazing. We could go on and on,
really
and then even just the law of attraction alone could be its own thing.
I didn't know you had a podcast for that.
But right, if you had a podcast,
I'm thinking about it. I was thinking about it.
I was really cool.
It's in the back of my mind. Yeah, it's in the back of my mind. My plate's a bit full, but I'm like, I want to, because I like to just like chat. That's when I kind of see like what I'm thinking and stuff.
Just talking out loud.
Just talking out loud.
Feels good.
Yeah, for sure.
But thank you so much for coming on the show, Narley. This has been amazing. We might have to do a part 2.
Yeah,
who knows? Right? Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Be sure, Narley, where can people find you if they want to either hire you or just follow your journey and get more of what you're spewing out today.
Yeah,
Just
thank you so much
amazingness.
for having me, Jordan, and everyone listening. So you can find me at Narley K, which is NARLEYK on Instagram. That's where I really hang out the most. And then www.narleyk.com. So follow me on those platforms. I'll be there waiting for you. And yeah, mindset is everything. Don't forget that.
Yes. So, Narley, thanks again for coming on. Everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of STARTA. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode. Hope you've enjoyed it and found it valuable. If you're curious on how to create content like this, or any kind of video content, either for yourself or as a service to others, I want to give you access to my video editing course, Editing Enhanced. This course is designed to help you get better at editing video content and to take your video editing skills to the next level. Whether you're a complete beginner and just need to understand the basics, or you're pretty confident with editing and want to take things up a notch, this course will have lots for you to take advantage of. Now, there may or may not be a discount code in the description and show notes for this episode, so be sure to have a look out for that and head on over to starta.ca/editing enhanced to get access to the course. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you again on the next episode.